Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Space Invaders TV. I'm your host, Rashawn, aka Looker. Yes, it's February 24th, 2022. And if you ask me if am I surprised about what I've heard, Guilford County Schools want to, they come up with this idea to skim money again from the students as well, by wanting to create this new facility to train staff, whatever that means, and whoever they're talking about. They want to take COVID funds, the relief funds, the monies that's supposed to be going to the education for students. You know, it doesn't surprise me because there's many schools around the country. If you've been following me long enough, you know that I've talked about that. Yeah, schools around the country that are just spending the money frivolously that they've been getting from the state, from the government, for their school systems. As many schools have been complaining for years about, the traditional public schools districts have been complaining for years about the lack of funds, and then when they get it, the frivolous things that have been done. You have schools around the country that have taken the money and doing things like putting it towards upgrading football fields and making what one school did something crazy where they were what did they build, some type of sanctuary or something, like something for birds, like they like some crazy stuff. I can't make this stuff up. I spoke about it last year in 2021. But then you had schools that were really putting that money to use and really getting the equipment and upgrading their technology and paying their teachers. You had counties around the country that were paying their teachers to more money, and faculty, staff members, and stuff, and school bus drivers. They're paying, their people, so they can keep their thing going, so they can continue. They took that money and they were appreciative of it and did what they needed to be done, because they knew that, hey, if we get this money now, we may have been asking for funds for years and been shorting on it, and we're gonna make good on this now, so big up to those school systems around the country that really took the funds and did what they were supposed to do, for the children, and knowing that they're there, the board members around the country, school board members in counties around the country, that knowing like, hey, we gotta do what we gotta do for these children. We gotta stand tall in these times, and we have to band together, and big up to those schools and districts and leaders, because you had to be, in this time, your leadership had to shine. You had to come through. And what we seeing right now is just the lack of leadership, man. People just not, we have school board members throw the keys to Contreras, and they hopped in the back seat and gave her, reins to drive the car. Someone that never had proven anything to them. Contreras had never proved anything to the school board, not even to the parents. We haven't seen anything. No form of leadership, no transparency. I'm being so confused as to try to figure out, like, well, how can you how could you turn over that leadership to this woman? How could anybody have agreed upon that? What have she showed you? If anything, she should have showed some. She should have, like, the distrust of her should have really came in during the height of the COVID, when it was put out there through the media, local news, that she had thrown her hat in the ring and was trying to get a position as the Secretary of Schools for the United States on the Biden administration. When that came through, that should have been a red flag then. But no, Guilford County, what they do, the schools, what they do is they extend her contract afterwards. And then once they extended her contract, what did you hear? She's going to some nonprofit organization called the Innovative Project that's made up of superintendents and I guess principals around the state. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, somebody like that put her in position. What did you see? I'm missing something. Dude, I'm like, man, am I off? What am I missing? What are we all missing here? So no, I'm not surprised, because actually what has happened, since 1954, there's been an attack on the traditional public school system. Okay? Brown versus Board of Education case. Okay? The Supreme Court ruled then that segregation in schools was unconstitutional. Okay? So then what had happened at that point, what I truly sat back and started doing as I got older and looking in, and even up to this day, as I seen that the attack was on the African Americans at that time, right? Even though on both ends, the African Americans and whites, what was happening, but people on both sides were, going against it. Like, they were like, no, we don't want to, we don't want to share schools with whites. We don't want to share schools with the blacks. So you had folks against, like, you had people rallying and things going against it at that time. But by law, the Supreme Court ruled that segregation was unconstitutional. So a lot of people felt like that's when a lot of things went down for them on both ends, But the attack then, I felt it turned to just, okay, well, the schools in the black neighborhoods or communities or predominantly black with schools or traditional public schools where black children went, I felt like they said, okay, well, I know what we're gonna do. We still in charge, and we still manage the funds in said states. So and so we're gonna shell out the money. They're just not the black schools. They're just not gonna get. We're gonna give them second hand. They're not gonna get the best of the best when it comes to the education. They're not gonna get the resources. They're not gonna get nothing that they need. So you had schools that were like just struggling with a lot of things and just getting crumbs, and with the predominantly black schools, the schools where predominantly blacks were at, traditional public schools. And so that I feel that went on for a very long time, until later on, whenever some said folks seen more value, when they felt more value in the black, communities and schools and things, then you started getting donations and things of materials, so you might start seeing a little different literature or books and things, and technology, maybe as far as like with the computers, once the computer age started to kick in, you started to get corporations that started to donate and prominent people starting to donate more to like public school systems, you know. But now today, in this present time, I feel like that it's an attack on all the public schools, traditional public schools. I don't care what side of town you on or how prominent your high school may have been, is an attack. And why I say that is because now what all the public traditional public schools have in common is, well, one, you see a security issue. You know, it's a breach of the security on the students. Students can't even come to school and learn in a comfortable environment because, you know, whether it's a student of the school that's coming in with weapons and then just causing destruction in the school and students getting killed, or just people able to just be able to walk in off the street because the security is a breach, and the security is like no security for the students in traditional public schools, because that's where you're hearing the most of all of this behavior happening. So that's one thing they have in common. And then when you think about all of these other branches of that's still kind of like public schools, you know, you have some charter schools or managed schools or whatever that are still like public schools, but they're not the traditional, you know. And they're like, now it's like a competition, and it's like they're trying to X out, and the public school, the traditional public schools are getting a bad rap. You know, it's like, oh, you don't get the best of teachers in the traditional public school. You can go over here to the magnet or charter or Montessori and get better quality of teachers and things of that nature, and better, you know, just the whole academic program is different. Even though, you know, those schools still have the non-traditional public schools still have to abide by the state, you know, laws and rules. So, you know, I don't know how that really, you know, but so then you move on and you see that happening, and that's going on around the country. And I'm just gonna start with where I'm at, you know, and what I'm seeing. Like, so we're gonna go back to, you know, we have board members in Guilford County, North Carolina. They're failing the students. They continuously fail the students. You have schools that are on the average. This is not me. I don't make up anything. If you would follow me, you know. On the average traditional school and public school in Guilford County is 50 plus years old. Okay, and you got failing HVAC systems, so that's poor air quality. You having, you know, the windows, bad windows that the windows need changed out. Like, the schools just need upgrades. Period. Okay, anything that you could think of upgrade, they need upgrades. You have schools that are brick buildings. We know that brick structures, you don't just knock them down like that. So you have brick structures that may have good bones. You know, the structure may be still good, but these guys are planning to knock them down. So they're asking for all of this money now, $2 billion, when they had millions before that in their hands throughout this COVID, right? So now they want to ask for these billions of dollars now when they've been failing the people for so long, and now you want to try to fix all of these schools, but there's no real timeline that I'm seeing on when these schools are going to be, like when all of these schools are going to be built. There's 124 schools in Guilford County, okay? Public schools, okay? Guilford County has almost 73,000 students. They're number 3 largest district in the state, behind Mecklenburg County, which is Charlotte. Okay, they have 149,000 plus students, 175 schools in Mecklenburg County. Okay, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, CMS. Wake County is the leader, number 1. They have 191 schools. They have 163,000 students, okay, in the public school system there. So we wondering, like, you know, but you hearing so much more on the Guilford County schools, right? Well, I know all of them are having their issues and got their problems, right? But you're hearing so much more in this Guilford County here, right? And I try to figure, like you say, there's a lot of people that sit on the board. They're from the county. They're from. They went to these schools that are struggling. They seen they seen the lack in the schools when they went through them. Okay. And I cannot understand, how do you sit on a board and don't fight and not intentional about doing what's right for these children, and you allow someone to come into your school district and Sharon Contreras, y'all bring this woman in, and no eyebrows were raised about how she left Syracuse school system, which was the smallest school system that she come from, and she fell there and jumped ship on them very early. I'm trying to understand, how do we allow that? Because, and I've called it, and she's done the same thing that she done in Syracuse. She done it to you guys here in Guilford County schools. So you ask me, am I surprised at anything that I'm hearing? Nah, because I've been reporting on it for quite a long time now. If you've been following me, then you know. If you haven't, you can check back in my archives whenever I speak about the school systems. And a lot of times when I speak on the school systems, you know, there are things that you can take with you. I don't care where you at in the country. You know, some of the issues could be similar. So you had Contreras, once again, they extended her contract, and then she wants to, then she's gonna jump ship on them, and she's leaving, going to a non-profit organization, right? Which I believe is just an organization that's gonna further her, whatever her agenda is. You know, she's not a leader, for one. So I don't know, how do you pick someone that's not a leader? You know, to be a leader, it's in you, not on you. It's not how you dress for a photo op, for a press conference. It's not the glasses you wear. It's not none of that. Well, it's in you. It's the way you walk. It's the way you talk. It's how you command and how you rally your people. The people under you that's there to help you. It's the way you rally them. It's the way that you lead. That's what makes you a leader. A leader don't run, bend, or fold when it's time to put that work in. A leader lives for the tough moments. They pull up their sleeves and they get to work. And they put that flag in the ground, and they let everybody know, this is what we're going to do. This is the mission. We got to do this for the children. Because you're a public servant, public service. Your service is the children. So the communication sucks. Transparency, none. You know, it's dictatorship, run. That's what you want to do. They gave you the keys to the car, Contreras. In the state of emergency, the Guilford County School board members gave you the keys to the car. Don't know why, but we're going to keep it moving. They gave you the keys to the car. They threw the keys to you, and they jumped in the back seat. They let you drive. You drove the car into a ditch. You drove by every ATM system trying to withdraw the funds. Yeah, you were trying to get all the money you could get, but then you turn around and all you did was whatever, we don't know. It's like, for the sake of you just saying that I asked for it, but you didn't do nothing with it. Poor leadership. You should know what you're going to do with the funds when you ask for it and get it done. Everything should be in line. You should have known, like, when you asked for those funds, they should have been ready to be handed out for work completed. You had the county asking questions, don't know. They asking, why isn't anyone coming with any receipts? You keep asking us for money, but no one's coming with receipts for work being done. We're not just going to give you the money. We got to see work done. That's how we work. We just gonna give up the money. You came to us asking for more funds for the schools, but we're not seeing no work receipts of anything done. Last I checked, you had 500 work orders uh, amongst the schools in Guilford County. Children at the beginning of the school year, you had a couple of schools, children had to be sent home because poor air quality again. You had no, it was very hot still in August, but they had no air in the classrooms. You had a couple of weeks where there was some cold, it was cold, very cold mornings. They had no, they had no heat. So it's like, okay, you got poor windows. Then you got transportation issues. Okay, we start having the drivers, school bus drivers. They just out. They're tired. Teachers leaving. You know, where's the leadership? We're hearing all of this about she's a great leader, this and that, and I'm wondering what world are you people living in? She must be doing something for you, for your agenda, because for the people that she's supposed to be serving, those children in the traditional public school system, K through 12, she's failing them. And the parents, we are looking at them, looking at her, baffled. She's a waste of time. She's not a leader. So now we come to a point where she wants to build this, well, they want to build this learning training center. So you want to take from the students the COVID relief funds that were given to the states to shell out to the school districts to help upgrade the schools and make sure. When the president spoke on handing out funds for the education, it was for the education for the children. Okay? Once again, but you took the money, you got money early on last year, and y'all upgraded y'all boardroom or whatever. You upgraded the technology, got new furniture, put better lighting in there, everything. Meanwhile, the students were still sitting in these classrooms, still in these schools, that deteriorating schools, while you guys are, I'm pretty sure your offices or whatever are probably really nice. And again, for the second time, we're talking about, so you want to take from the students again. So you're planning to get that done fast, but meanwhile, a lot of these schools, we still have yet to hear how many schools got their HVAC systems replaced. You've been sitting on money for quite some time that you've asked the county for, they granted, that you received, the schools received. We still haven't heard that. We're hearing everything else, because I would believe if you had got any HVAC systems done at these schools, I would believe like all the bad publicity, because you gotta know, your school board members, you all know you ain't been getting too much. The people have been looking at you sideways, right? And upside down and all around. So if you've done anything with those schools, upgrades, I believe that, I know that would have been in the media, but we have yet to hear it, never heard it, still haven't heard it, okay? But meanwhile, we're talking about upgrading schools. You're talking about, knocking down whole schools and building new schools. How long is that going to take? Because a child that's in the 5th grade right now may not never see it. They'll be out of school before they see it. So when are we going to do it? How long is it actually going to take? Because we hearing plans, but there's no real timeline. You talk about upgrading, okay, Peeler, Hampton, and Irwin Montessori were the 3 schools caught up in the tornado in 2018. You got $10 million for those schools in insurance money. Could have got more, but the lack of, the HVAC systems failing, the schools were in poor condition. So the adjuster, they only gave you $10 million. This was public knowledge, okay? You got $10 million. Never to this day heard what happened with that money. You could have fixed up 2 of those schools. You could have remodeled, started some renovation on all 3 of those schools, to be exact, with $10 million. You could have started, okay? You could have started. Nothing got done. But you turn around and the Gateway Center for Education for the disabled children, you had plans to like just let that go and knock it down and everything until the parents and the faculties, teachers and everything stood up and said no. When they stood up, and that's a brick building, they stood up. That roof got done. The upgrades got done. I'm pretty sure it's probably some more things that need to be done there, but I took witness and noticed that those things are done. I passed that place. I was passing that place, that school, every day on my way, on my journeys. Every day I would pass that school, almost every day, while they were doing upgrades on that school. Meanwhile, many people might not know, you also get extra money for each of these restart schools. So where's that money going? I had someone tell me that their child's school restart funds, they get the funds you get for one school is $500,000 for one of the restart schools. So so some of the schools you really don't need that money. You could take that $500,000. You could start. You could get some HVAC systems. You could start somewhere with some windows. Yeah, and you start subtracting from this $2 billion you're asking for, because those restart schools get funds, and I already knew they did. The government put things in place for you. The state put things in place for you. The restart schools, for you to get certain funds, you have to do this. Okay? But many don't know. So there's a lot of money floating around within the Guilford County school system, and there's a lot of poor management and a lot of people that's just in the wrong place. And it's time for new blood. It's just time for new blood, and that's the problem. And we just need more parents to step up and start really zooming in, I should say. Because these things, like I've spoke early before, we got to hold people feet to the fire, because these school board members, some of them went to these schools. They came up in these schools in these areas, okay? And it is a shame that they'll allow someone to come in and just like sell a dream to their people and not hold them accountable. How can you throw keys to somebody and let them drive the car while all of you get in the back seat, and this person drives you into a ditch and make you look bad in your community? See, I don't know what some people may think, and they're thinking like, oh, Contreras is doing this. Now, those are folks that are not doing their due diligence. They think she's a leader because they don't understand a leader is not on you, it's in you. It's not what you wear and who you're affiliated with. Okay? It's not on you, it's in you, a leader. And see, a leader brings different affiliates too. Okay? So we don't really know that everyone that's affiliated with Contreras and these board members and everything, they're the wrong affiliates, and that's why we're seeing the poor quality that we're getting within our school systems. She says Pillar will be remodeled up and running in 2020, between 2024 and 2025. Ma'am, it is 2022 and as a brick ain't been laid. How so? You're again a hope and a dream. You're gonna be out of here, Contreras, in August 22. You jumped ship. Thank God that you did, because you can't do your job. So I don't even understand how they allowed you here. You don't finish jobs, and so you get put onto a nonprofit innovation project, right? You don't finish jobs. So I'm trying to figure out, all these people are poor judge of character, because you don't finish jobs. You don't have a good track record in my sight, and anybody who can look up Sharon Contreras, superintendent of schools in Syracuse. You can look it up, Google it, and then come back and tell me what you see. The behavior. One thing I'll say, and I said this before when it comes to behavior, when people have certain behaviors and their character, they just don't leave you. Certain behaviors, will follow you. You have to really work and change yourself to change your behavior. And somebody who's just not just gonna run away from a tough situation, they're not gonna stand in there. They'll run on you and leave you hanging. That person, that the character of that person is that that's a poor person. They're weak, and they're not strong, and that's not a leader, you know. So when you have somebody of that caliber that wants to jump ship on the students and on our own faculty, staff members in the height of a COVID, and was planning on bouncing and jumping ship, and if she would have got that job with the Biden administration, how are you trying to apply for a job like that, ma'am, and you didn't even put it down here? You haven't even put in work here. When it's time to put in work, you didn't. How, ma'am? See, you running and jumping for jobs, Contreras, and you're not even finishing the one that you started. How can you get anywhere? How can you get anywhere doing that? You're just moving around. You're creating a resume, but your resume, you might want to trash it, because when you come across someone who truly cares about the students in education, they're not going to look at you. They're going to see that you're not a leader. See, leaders know leaders, and you're not it. So am I surprised at anything? Nah, because the culture that's been put there in Guilford County schools thus far, it's been poor. The culture there is really none. You get people that just want to be involved in school boards and certain things to further their agenda, and they have their own agendas, and it ain't to do what the job intends them to do. So many people got comfortable, as I said, and it's time for them to go, and it's time for new blood. That's all it is. And you got schools that have been sitting for 3 years. You haven't even started on them. You haven't even done anything with them. But mysteriously, one of the schools' pillar caught fire after it was sitting for like 2.5 years or whatever. It catches fire towards the end of 2020. Like how? Okay, so it caught fire, and then all of a sudden, you guys rush in and bulldozer it down. But we still never found out, well, who started the fire from a school that's been boarded up for 2.5 years? Who started the fire? We have yet to hear that. But you moving on and you saying you want to rebuild the school, and all of a sudden it's about getting the community involved. What? So now you want the community involved in what? To get behind your agenda, when you were locking the community out from everything. The parents had no say so. You guys weren't even one. You want to usher them out of school board meetings. You want to, you want to pat people down in school board meetings and treat them like criminals. You didn't really want to hear the truth because you can't handle the truth. You can't do nothing with the truth because you were so engulfed. All you guys, school board members of Guilford County Schools, were engulfed in your own world. And your agenda weren't the children. See, people take these jobs and they're to service the public and don't want to service the public, but those same folks will go out into the public themselves and become consumers and want to be treated with the utmost. Unreal, isn't it? I'm going to say that again. Some folks will be in jobs like those board members, and I guarantee those board members will go out and they will become consumers in the public. Because we all consumers at the end of the day. Those same board members and Contreras as well will go out into the community, and if they got poor service, they will be the ones to report you for poor service. But meanwhile, every day they're giving out poor service to the children. And when the parents speak up in the place of their children, they're called criminals or disruptive. Yeah, someone who's always speaking up will be disruptive because they're speaking against your agenda and your move or whatever it is you're trying to do. That person will be disruptive. You know, especially when you're talking and you're making sense. See, I ain't coming to yell at you. I couldn't give you a tongue lashing. Guilford County Schools, board members, Contreras, commissioners. I couldn't give you a tongue lashing because, see, you guys have kicked the can for so many years and even admitted it last year, the kicking the can. You guys have kicked the can and failed these students for many years. Many of you were failed students and went to that school that sit on the board, went to certain schools around the county. You were failed students and you continuing the freaking cycle. Shame on you. Shame on you. So Contreras wants to go over here to this innovative project. There's nothing more to probably to further her agenda, but I just hope that the school board members of Guilford County learn their lesson and choose wisely the next superintendent and understand and let that superintendent know that you are a secretary to us. You are not to make decisions without us. Y'all should never give the superintendent of schools that authority ever again in an emergency situation to out you guys. You should maintain your position. You should maintain your position. I hope you should learn that you give this someone the keys to your house and then they put you out and make you look bad. Y'all should learn from this. Never give the employee, like she's the employee to you guys. How does the employee run you? Okay? Yeah, maybe it may be a couple of you on the board that may have good intentions. I mean, me at this point, I doubt it. Because me personally, if I can't do my job properly, I'm gonna exit. I'm gonna exit before I sit there and allow myself to look away in front of the people, and I can't supply the people with what they need, and I can't do my job. I'm gonna exit. Okay? Because you have to maintain yourself and your reputation and everything that you work hard for. If you're there to do the job and then there's so much going on, you have to leave. But you see what happened, and all of this going on led me to believe that you all guys were in on the same thing. During the height of the COVID, you guys, went home and sat on your hands on the schools. You left. No leadership. So therefore, the teachers bounced, the school bus drivers, all faculty, staff lost all hope because there was no leadership. They didn't know which way to turn. They didn't know what was going on. They were in the dark as well as the parents were about what was going on with their students. They were in the dark with their students, their children, rather. We were all in the dark. We didn't really know what was the move, what was going to be the plan for the following school year. What are you guys doing? It should have been in there supposedly, you got money from the federal government for the education to pay employees and things of that nature. So were you in there cleaning the schools, getting the schools prepared? No, they weren't. All these issues were popping off around the country with violence in the schools. Where were the security measures? What was put in place? What was the security cameras? What was the metal detectors? What was anything to protect the children while they're trying to learn and get an education? So there was no real leadership. There's no real leadership nowhere within the Guilford County school system. Sorry, there's no leadership. So I'm not surprised at anything at all. Yeah. I'm not surprised at anything at all. It's just a shame that we have these folks that are here to do things and here to do a job and they don't do it. I want to read something briefly here, right? Just to get y'all on, so we can understand some things here. It's like how crazy this sounds, How crazy this sounds, right? Give me a second, folks. Let me get it together here. So this is from the News and Record, and this was posted up yesterday, I believe. Let's see here. Today is the 24th. This was on the 23rd. Guilford County Schools looking to build new training and community education system. Greensboro Guilford County Schools is moving forward on a plan to create a new center for staff training and community education using federal COVID-19 relief dollars. The district is currently looking for firms to design and build the project. They have until 3 p.m. Friday to submit their qualifications, according to the documents posted on the district's website. The district first issued the request for qualification in late January. The district leaders had previously discussed placing the center in East Greensboro and possibly on the former site of Hampton Elementary School. The school has been vacant since being damaged by a tornado in 2018, and the district plans to demolish the building. Speaking this summer, Deputy Superintendent Whitney Oakley said training for the staff was one of the reoccurring suggestions district leaders heard from a task force. They convened to discuss how to best help the school system recover from the pandemic. In the past, the district has needed to rent facilities to accommodate training for principals and assistant principals. Oakley and Chief Financial Officer Angie Henry said they wanted the new building to include a space where at least 400 people could meet, but could also be divided into smaller areas. All right, let's break this down, ladies and gentlemen. Let's break this down. So we looking. The district is currently looking for a firm to design and build a project, and build this project, right? Where's the firm that you looking for to help upgrade these schools? Why we ain't heard that? But we hearing about you looking for the firm, and they giving you got to Friday. But where's the firm at, and who are the people that are coming in to upgrade these schools? Where are they at? Where are they at? We Johnny on that though, right? Is that needed right now, though? Is that what's needed, though? Let's keep going. We're going to break this down. The district leaders had previously discussed placing the center in East Greensboro, possibly on the former site of Hampton Elementary. The school has been vacant since being damaged by the tornado in 2018, and the district plans to demolish the building. There we have it, folks. So you want to demolish that building, the education, a learning center for the students. You want to demolish that building to build something where you and where you can have your people could come just hang out. Why you can't use where you been training at? Why you can't keep going where you been? Why you ain't what's been a problem? Why all of a sudden now is a problem? This is a problem. So these schools needing upgrades ain't the problem. Listen, check it out, folks. See, when you read stuff, you gotta break it down. You know, you gotta break it down and read and read between. It ain't even reading between the lines because it's right here for you. And this is why every time, folks, when I bring something to y'all, I read it and break it down for y'all because I want you to hear just what's being said. Because a lot of times throughout this whole thing, the media, well, the publications, the news publications in the area here in Guilford County, they've been giving it right to you. They ain't been hiding and pulling no punches. They've been telling you it's been right there, broad, smack in your face, nothing to hide. So they had a task force. Where's the task force to go out and look for this? To gather all the information and get these companies you need for these schools. Where's the task force? Who is on this task force actually? How many people is on this task force? And who is the task force? He says, I've been hearing about a task force all the time. There's no freaking task force. It is you people, Contreras and the board. You're in task force. Because who is the task force? Who voted on the task force? First of all, can't nothing be done in Guilford County schools without the board members' involvement. So again, Contreras, you X them out. So it's you, Why does she even still have power of anything? They should have snatched that from. She's about to leave in August. Why does she still have any reins? Why isn't the power put back into the board members, the school board? Why does Contreras even have the power? That's all I'm trying to figure out here, all right? Because she's making sure she's going out with a bang, ain't she? In the past, the district has needed to rent facilities to accommodate training for principals and assistant principals. Oakley and Chief Financial Officer Angie Henry said they wanted the new building to include a space where at least 400 people could meet, but could also be divided into small areas. First of all, and first and foremost, how important is this building? Because how many times are the principals and vice principals and all these folks going to be meeting out of the year? If you're in schooling, how many times out of the school year are you going to be meeting at this building? That's why you continue to rent. There's no need for you to waste funds on building a building that you ain't gonna be meeting there every day. What is this? The clubhouse? What? Wait, are you gonna be meeting there every day? What are you gonna be doing? Like, because if you heading up to school, said school as a principal and vice and assistant principal, you ain't got time to be hanging out at a clubhouse every day. So why do you need this building? How many times a year are you gonna that building's gonna actually be funded? So therefore, that's a price, that's a bill that don't need to have. So you continue to keep renting, and whatever ballrooms you've been going to, continue to go to them. That's what you do. Or these new schools that you plan to build, like Peeler, why don't you just build a big room where you can have that go on at that said school? Make a big enough place. Since we're gonna remodel and upgrade these schools, why don't you do that? Hey, you still got Irwin Montessori sitting over there on Bessemer Avenue. Why don't you go in there and fix that up and have your meetings over there? You ain't doing nothing else with it. I'm saying I had no plans with it neither, because the students been at Alamance Elementary from Irwin Montessori since 2018. What's the plans on that? That school's so big that Alamance Elementary is so big that you're able to have 2 schools in one. If you ask me, was that a waste of money? That probably was a waste of money too. You know what I mean? You didn't need a school that big then. If you were able to put 2 schools in one, and that school and Irwin Montessori been at Alamance Elementary since 2018 till present day, and we heard nothing about it, nothing about the plan. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I put enough knowledge and information out there for everyone that you could just go back and go into my archives and read it and check it out, because I talk about so much pertaining to the school system here in Guilford County, man, and in North Carolina, period. And the North Carolina Department of Instruction, you really need to step it up on this education tip. You really do. Educating these students. We need to come with better academic program, okay? Something strong, something more, to meet these students where they stand. We need to come with programs that speaking on banking. We need to have all these schools speaking on science, technology, and engineering, okay? We need to talk on entrepreneurship. We need to bring that. So you guys talked about all these industries coming here and having the students. We need to get these students, to meet them where they stand. Now you saying that, but when you gonna do it? Cause I've been spoke on it. I've been said what was needed been done. It's needed, and the time is now. It's been, but you need ASAP. The funds are there. It's funny that they put a task force together to go out and about a training facility, a building. Well, who you training? It's funny they put a task force together for that, but we have yet to hear how many schools have got some new upgrades on these HVAC systems, new windows, and everything. But that's my time, folks. I'm your guy, Rashawn. This is Space Invaders TV. Make sure y'all share and like, leave comments. But until next time, I'm going, y'all.